So this is episode 2 of the how we make our camping vlog videos, and in this one we're talking about the techniques and what we do with each of our cameras, how we film things. So we use a GoPro Hero 7 only because I got it at a decent price, in a little cage that goes as our dash cam. There's a little pad that's stuck to the windscreen there, which is just a normal pad that came with it, so nothing special about that, just the normal sticky pad you get with the GoPro. And then obviously this just clips in there like that, and then all we do then is power it on. And I've got this special filter around the front. You can see my hand, and then I move that filter round to get rid of the reflection as much as I can. You can see it's disappearing. There, it's gone. So that's how we set the camera up for recording out of the windscreen. So the housing, nothing really special about it. It's got a bigger opening on the side there to make it easier to charge on the go and stuff like that, so you can just open the door. But the other real special thing about this is you can have these 52mm filters on the side. You can have something like an ND filter, or you can have like this one, which is a polarizing filter, which is what gets rid of the glare. I have it set at 2.7K 50 frames a second on PAL, just so I can slow it down if I want to, but then if I bring it into my editing suite, I can use it at 4K and HD and it still looks okay depending on what I'm going to shoot. And then we have a little neoprene pouch that it all sits in, so when it's not in use it doesn't get banged around. So that's how we do the dash filming. Now we also have another GoPro which we use for vlogging. Again, it's a GoPro Hero 7 black, and that's mounted on a special little GoPro pole, which has also got feet on it that twist out so you can use it as a tripod, and it extends a bit as well so you can use it as you're walking around to get a wider view of you talking to other people. And then if we're going outdoors with it, I'll put like a foam cover out that I've made to go around it. Basically you can buy them off eBay for about £4 or £5, and I've cut it up a little bit so it goes around the entire case. That stops most of the little bits of wind. If it's blowing a gale, forget about it. If it's strong wind, forget about it. But a little bit of crosswind and stuff like that as you're walking around, a little bit of a breeze, then it's usually okay. And that I get the best overall production of sound and video from. Each video clip should be either really interesting if I'm just talking to the camera, really interesting if the camera's stationary, or if not, try and move the camera around a subject. So don't always have it as a stationary camera angle, and that could even be to slightly give a little bit of zoom in or out from something you're looking at. So anything like that, just to give a little bit of something interesting to each shooting angle. If I'm shooting out of the windscreen, then that's fine because you can see what's going on, the vehicle's moving, and that's great. If we're talking about something, then hopefully the dialogue is enough to keep you interested. But say for example, if it's a drone shot or we're walking around, we're showing you something, then that's really the interesting shot. Then it's the drone moving around, or it's me walking around something and giving you that little bit of information about something. We then move on to the Osmo Pocket. Why do I like the Osmo Pocket? Well, it is just really good at stabilization. So walking with it, you are going to see movement up and down a little bit, but if you can stay somewhere and do a pan across, make sure it's slow, make sure the pan is nice and slow so it's easy for people to see. Now I've also got a second little trick that I use my Osmo Pocket for. What you can do is use your phone on a long pole at the bottom, put the Osmo Pocket at the top of that pole with a little bracket, a little holder, and then at the bottom with your phone, just basically get something in view that you want to track, draw a box around it, and then move the pole up or down, side to side, and you get a fake drone shot. I mean, I've got a pole that takes it around about 10 to 15 feet, depending on how far I extend it, and it's enough that you can get that kind of like ground to 10-15 feet shot without flying a drone. Now we also use a 360 camera. It's the Insta360 1X, and this is good for capturing groups of people or events, what's going on if you're sitting outside a pub, or maybe as we were doing at the Camper Van Tales meetup quite recently, we were sitting outside, all the vans, campfire going, and we're all having a chat. And you can put the 360 camera in the middle of everything, and then you can just use it in your software to pan around that image so you can see what's going on. Another great use for a 360 camera is if you do a lot of van tours or things like that. And you can even pan one way and then use the same 360 footage to pan the other way without having all that time to sit there and use cameras and make sure you're not shaking, make sure it's steady. So yeah, use your 360 on a monopod with a small tripod footprint or something like that, and you'll never see it in the software, it'll just take it out. Now, obviously, we both use proper cameras as well. Like I say, I've shown you the little point and shoot, the Panasonic LX15, LX10, other places of the world. And this is good for, you know, sitting down, doing a proper chat to the camera. You can put it on a little tripod. It's got the screen that flicks up at the top. You can make sure you're in focus. So if you are doing a bit of a chat about something, like we've used it in the past when we're talking about our van, and Mandy and I are sat here around the table and we're talking about something, then we'll use that camera for that because it's stationary. The battery life on it, you know, it'll last for about an hour and a half recording, and you can see yourself, like I say, make sure you're in focus and stuff like that. It records good audio. So if you're going to do a long camera kind of recording session, use a point and shoot camera or something like that. They're far better at it. You'll be in focus and whatever's behind you will be blurred out, which makes you more of a focal point in the video to look at, because ultimately that's really the benefit of using a camera with focusing, like this camera or like the LX15 or something like that, is that when it focuses on you, everything behind you is then slightly out of focus because your brain's telling you concentrate on that bit because that bit's in focus. Now the big one is the drone, and I'm not going to say Mavic Air, Mavic Pro, DJI Spark or anything like that, because it really doesn't matter. If your drone has automatic mode, try and use those more than anything else, because ultimately they were designed to do two things. First of all, make your drone easier to fly, so that you're not worrying and stumbling on which control to use or anything like that. And number two, it's going to be more cinematic because the shot's going to be smoother. The computer's controlling the movement. It's going to be a smoother overall shot. So if you can get, say for example in the DJI menu, that's got quick shots of circling around something or moving back and away from something, all those shots are pre-programmed. They'll be far better for you to use. And you'll know then when they're finished that that's the kind of duration you're looking at. If you want to fly manually, another great tip about flying drones is reveal shots. And that's when you go and pull away from something and you reveal a scene that, you know, was behind the camera, and now you're pulling away and then you can see the scene and it kind of develops literally in front of your eyes. That's great. Or a panning across shot, where literally, you know, kind of you're getting a panorama, but you're actually revealing each section of that panorama in a different way. You might be going upwards or coming down or something like that. But ultimately, a drone shot is best viewed, I would say, when there's a small degree of movement in there. Whether that's a massive movement of the drone, but on screen it shows as a small movement because you're showing a big vista, big panorama, or whether you're showing something really small and you're using the drone quite small movements around it as well. So some drones have something called a tripod mode, certainly the DJI drones do, and they reduce the stick control gesture movements roughly by about 90%. So you're getting 10% of the actual power out of the drone as you move the sticks to their absolute sort of max and minimum, which means that ultimately you'll get smoother shots, smoother, you know, up, down, side to side, or rotation. So try those modes if you really are looking for cinematic shots as well. So keep your drone shots simple, keep the movements fairly slow so people can follow it. Don't make it quick or flick from there to there, flick from there to there kind of thing. We'll talk about those shots in editing, what you can do with them to try and save them, because they do happen. You know, I will basically press record and then I might do 12 different shots while I'm recording. So I'll need to edit those up so you don't get all the rubbish bits in the middle when I'm changing direction and stuff like that. That's not what you want to include in your video. From my point of view, I avoid them as much as I can. So let's move on to the final real bit of this. How do I shoot, and you know, what's the best way to shoot videos? And that's to talk about clip length. from when you press record to when you press stop, or the record button again, how long are those clips? And that depends on what you're recording. I try and create a flow of a story in my head. So the movement from where you are to where you're going is one part of the story, and then what you do while you're there is another part of the story. So for example, driving shots are how we're getting there, and anything interesting you might see on the way. I will try and keep those clips down to sort of 15 to 45 seconds, unless I see something that's of interest, or if we're on convoys or something like that, in which case I'll leave them running for as long as the interesting bit is there. If I'm, say for example, walking around a town centre and something interesting is something, you know, oh look in a shop window and that's interesting, I'll keep those clips down to sort of 15 to 35 seconds, just so that when I come back to editing it makes them easier to go through. Say for example we're all out walking and we're talking to the camera and stuff like that, I'll also try and keep those clips quite brief as well, because your conversations aren't hours long when you're walking, and if they are, you don't want an hours long conversation in your video is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, you know, just keep to the bits that are more pertinent to the video or funny bits of a conversation. So sometimes I'll record, you know, anywhere between a minute to 2 minutes of that, and then I'll stop again. I don't record everything that everybody ever says, and certainly if we're all in a pub or something like that, you'll get clips, again maybe kind of 30 seconds clip or something like that. And that's what I do. I'm not looking to ever tell you exactly what went on when we were somewhere. I'm just looking to give you an idea of what happened, because either in the narrative of the video later on we'll tell you what happened, or, you know, what's more important, it's a story, and sometimes it's fun telling the story without giving everything away. So just let people in a little bit, give them a snippet or something like that, and that's ultimately what I'm looking to do when I film things. Now Mandy has a different idea sometimes, and Mandy has a great way of telling a story, so sometimes I'll let her tell the story and I'll put clips over the top of what she's saying. Other times what we're talking about might not be that exciting to listen to, so I'll put video clips over the top again. And other times you might have video clips of like the drone or something like that, and you might think that needs a little bit of narrative to go with it, and then you put voiceover and that kind of thing. We'll talk about that in editing and how you can rectify problem clips, or how you can make the story, you know, fit a little bit easier with voiceover, or by mixing B-roll clips, as in clips with no narrative in them, over the top of narrative clips, and then make it a bit more interesting. But yeah, I'll go over that in the next video, which is all about editing. A few of you have been getting in touch via email address or trying to contact me through my website and things like that, but that's not part of the community. If you've got a question to ask about something, ask it in the comments section down below, because then somebody else will then think, oh, I need to know the answer to that, I'll make sure I watch that comment. And that's how it works. My website, email address and stuff like that, that's for business really, for people to get in touch about, you know, wanting us to test products or things like that. So I am unfortunately not able to kind of get to all my emails that are sent to me, because I've got to do a job. So in all fairness, I probably don't really look at them as much as maybe you think I do, but I look at the comments section down below an awful lot, you know, maybe a couple of times a day, and I answer every question I'm ever asked. So it's really something we feel quite strongly about as a community. We talk about this an awful lot. If you're watching this video, please make sure that you've got a YouTube account. It's 2 seconds to sign up for one, and it's just a case of you can then give it a thumbs up, you know, or thumbs down if you wish, but you can comment on it, you can get a notification, you can become a subscriber to our channel and click the little notification to find out when we put a video out. When we go live or something, you'll get a notification. Those are the benefits of being able to comment and things like that. Just a YouTube account sounds a bit boring, but all those other benefits all make up why I think it's important that you, if you're not already, should join a community and sign up for a YouTube account. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox about that one now. So anyway, thanks very much. Like I say, questions down below, I'll answer them when I can, and I'll catch you on the next video. You take care now. Bye.